Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of Mita's Deep Dive Express modules. My name is Caleb Tice. I'm going to be your host and moderator today. These Express modules are being brought to you by our gracious sponsor, 420 Collections. There are two brands under the 420 Collections umbrella, 420 Medibles, and which are deliciously potent and available at dispensaries throughout the great state of Arizona. And they also have 420 Skincare, which is a CBD infused topical line that's available throughout the country. So we are very lucky here today. We have two gentlemen here to help to talk about their story and their background, because the topic of discussion today is picks and shovels, how ancillary services help the cannabis industry to thrive. I want to go ahead and introduce Nate Lipton. So if you want to tell a little bit about yourself, sir.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me to join you today, Caleb. And I'm in the ancillary space of the cannabis industry and have been for about 10 years. And we operate a couple businesses within the ancillary space, the primary one being Growers House and growershouse.com. So that is, we do have a retail store and an online store that sells cultivation equipment and supplies for people to grow what I like to say is high value crops or medicinal crops. And, you know, the majority of those being cannabis, although we do also do hemp. And, you know, there's actually a lot of people that do buy things from us to grow neither of those plants, but there's just specialty equipment, hydroponics, things of that sort. We've even had NASA purchase equipment from us.
That's cool. You're going to have to tell me about that.
Yeah. You know, they need to grow plants on, you know, the moon and Mars, and they're trying to figure out how to best do that. And it's hydroponically. So that's kind of the short intro for that part. But that's our primary business. And we also do have a YouTube series called Cannabis, which is a pretty popular YouTube series that is what I like to call is like the how it's made of commercial growing of cannabis. So we walk through facilities, show people, you know, all the methodologies and products and really how the sausage is made. You know, when you're going to smoke a cannabis flower, how exactly does that cannabis flower start out in a 60,000 square foot indoor facility? And then lastly, we do have growersnetwork.org, which is a site that is for cannabis cultivators, and it's a forum and a content site. And we have classes that teach you how to grow as well.
Nice. Well, we got a lot to talk about in those various areas, Nate. And I want to go ahead and introduce you to Chance Chambers from 420 Ultimate Tours.
Hello, thanks for having me, Caleb. I appreciate it. And first and foremost, you got to try those 420 medibles. Those are great products, man. Great sponsors. So so my name is Chance Chambers. I've been in the industry for about 7 years now. We started with 420 Ultimate Tours, which we partner with a lot of Arizona dispensaries, and you know, we took them customers. So what we provide, it was kind of like a unique concept for the cannabis industry, something new. But yeah, so we just do transportation services, and just looking forward to growing.
Nice. Thank you for being here, Chance. Look forward to hearing more throughout our panel today about the developments and your company and how you got here today. So I'll go ahead and pose the first question for you, sir. What drew you to the cannabis industry? Why cannabis?
Is that for me?
Yeah, that's for you.
Okay, it started off with my grandma was battling cancer, and what we did was we were just looking for alternative medicine, and obviously with the buzz around cannabis, you know, we did some more research, and we was able to find some medicine that helped her with her anxiety and stuff like that. So within searching the cannabis industry for that, I kind of found a niche. I was in the transportation industry before going over to the cannabis, and I did party buses and limos and stuff like that. So I just seen the need for transportation and entertainment within the Arizona market, and so that's what landed me here. And you know, we've been going strong ever since.
Nice. I love it. Of hearing that you had a career and an expertise in a particular area in the entertainment and that side. and you found a way to apply that to cannabis and something that has helped your grandma through that difficult time. That's amazing, man. I love it. I love it.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Caleb.
What about you, Nate? What drew you to cannabis?
Yeah, so I joined the cannabis industry right out of college, and I graduated. And I honestly, within 1 week of graduating, I knew I wanted to be in the cannabis industry. But I think I went through the normal thought process that you go through when you're around that age, that kind of 18 to 22-year-old age. I think what you really try to figure out is, in what direction do I want to go, in my life? And I looked at a lot of traditional industries, and I was like, oh, I can work in finance or something of that sort. And I did an internship, and I realized that that job path was a little too formulaic. Like, I saw older people in that role, and I worked with them, and I saw what my life looked like for the next 30 years. And it wasn't exciting. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't, appealing to me on a personal level. It felt more like something I had to do because other people were doing it, that track. And I decided, you know what, now's the time for me to, if I'm going to follow my passion, I think you have to do it when you're young. So I jumped into the cannabis industry right out of college, and I could say the rest is history at that point. So that's what drew me into it.
That's awesome. Yes, that is a big draw of the cannabis industry, with it being new, evolving, changing. There isn't really that path that's been set and defined. I mean, I'm sure we all heard of, like, this is the path you have to take, and go and find an employer and stick with them. And it's the paradigm has changed, and we're a part of that. And that's amazing. I have very, very, very similar feelings myself about cannabis, of knowing that originally I had used it recreationally. Then once I had a shoulder injury, and I realized like what benefit it gave to me, and that really set the tone of like, this is the plant, this is where I know that I need to put my energy towards in order to help to change the world. And that's really what we're doing here.
Yeah, and there's some similarities. I like to tell people, it's, if you were around during the tech boom of the 1990s, and that kind of finished off with a bubble, in basically 1999, 2000, but the cannabis industry is following a very similar trajectory, where those were the people that were what I like to call like the parents of the internet, the fathers and mothers that were, really building the internet of what we use it today. And those people are the people that are like turned into executive and board members, and they really drove the trajectory of the industry, the tech industry. And I saw this being having a lot of parallels to that. And I wanted to be in at the ground floor. And I expect, in 10 or 20 years, it's funny, but even for Chance and I, we've been in here for 10 and 7 years. We're veterans at this point. And it's going to be cool to see that, even another 10 years from now, our history is like pretty all encompassing of the industry from its genesis.
Definitely.
And I just want to piggyback off what Nate is saying. I think it was important to get in at ground level and establish those relationships and meet people. That's what people, I think that's like undervalued in the cannabis industry, is just developing those relationships, because you never know who's going to be who. 2-3 years down the line, things change. So yes, it's a great space.
Definitely. And the importance of networking. I've definitely found that. And one of the things of why I've been so gracious to be involved with Mita, and seeing what they're doing and providing those opportunities for both the people in the industry. But I can't tell you of how many that I see of people interested in coming and wanting to learn more, and seeing it as, this is a way that I can make my own path, and it's not defined for me. So it's really, really cool. So what else, Chance, about starting your own business? Like, when did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Oh, when did I know? Let's see. I think I was working when I first knew, I was working for like UPS, and I was doing the whole box thing, and it's just it was a lot of work. But when I first started in the cannabis industry, and when we was able to help people, and you can see the response that you get from patients when you help going on, different medicine. And just from that aspect, that's when I knew that the cannabis industry was for me. And like Nate said, 7 years in the industry is like 15 in the other industry. So yeah, that's what I knew.
Nice. Well, tell us a little bit. You'd said about like some of your relationships and some of your dispensary relationships. So tell us, to give an example of like how you were able to bridge that, like bridge the conversation and to start to really get your business off the ground.
Just networking with different people, and just staying at it. What we did was when we first started, of course, we had to network with the dispensaries and the patients at the same time, and kind of bridge that gap, because it was new. No one knew what was going on. Everyone was just trying to figure it out. So our thing was to bridge that gap between patients and dispensaries, and to take them on a fun experience on the 420 Ultimate Tour bus, but also hook them up with the education part and the networking. So yeah, that's how we did it.
Okay. So helping to provide, and you saw that's basically what I heard there is you saw that there was a disconnect between patients and needing education. There were dispensaries that had a service that needed a way to get to build additional relationships with those patients and help them to provide the medicine that they needed. And you saw a way to bridge that gap.
Exactly. Yep. And the dispensaries needed help with getting the information out, and we just kind of was that vehicle to get information and to get new patients to their dispensaries.
Because that's one thing I don't know if everyone remembers, but in the medical program in Arizona for a number of years, the only way for you to get dispensary information was by being a patient, and they mailed you out a PDF of the current dispensaries at the time, and that was the only place to get that information. It was confidential unless a dispensary had decided to go out and do advertising. It was difficult to find them. I mean, it really was. It's amazing. We're talking about veterans in the industry, 7 years, 8 years, and it was a different world back then, which makes this time so exciting in that public perception has shifted, and there's more opportunities when it comes to cannabis-related businesses.
One more thing, Caleb. You had said something about advertising and getting the word out. So that was another thing that we provided with the buses. We provided some outdoor advertising services. WeMaps was our first sponsor. So 3-4 years ago, when you see a big bus rolling around with a WeMap sign, people looking like what's going on. But it helped normalize cannabis and people seeing it too. So that was another thing
that. Yep, and WeedMaps was listed on the NASDAQ this week. So if that shows you about how things have changed, that happened this week. Yeah. So Nate, tell us a little bit. You talked about your decision. Talk to us through kind of those first few months of how you were getting things off the ground.
Yeah, so when I first jumped into the cannabis industry, I did work for a dispensary. And so that was kind of my first introduction to the industry. And then I also worked after that for a hydroponics company. So I did work for other people in the industry, and that's kind of how I really got my start. And I learned from others. I think jumping into the industry, man, if you know nothing about it and you jump in fresh and you want to run a company and be an industry leader, that's going to be tough unless you have some foundation to stand on, whether that be a foundation in a different industry that you can apply to this one, or building a foundation by working in the industry. So then you can go off and kind of start your own thing. But, I think one comment I want to make going into this, since it's about ancillary businesses, is a lot of people focus on the flower, the dispensary, and that's the interaction. When they think cannabis industry, they do think that that's really what they conjure in their minds. But what a lot of people don't know is that the ancillary space of the cannabis industry is probably about 3 or 4 times the size of the actual dispensary industry, the amount of people working for dispensaries and growing operations, which a lot of people don't understand. It's kind of like maybe one of the best analogies I can have is if you ever watch car racing, there's a car and there's a driver, and then he has a pit crew of 10 people. And you're like, oh, wow, that's this racing team. Well, actually, there's about 500 people that are part of this team that try and make sure they engineer the car. They have to source the tires. They have to source, the basically even the steering wheel from another manufacturer. You have your insurance company, you have your healthcare company. How do you do advertising with these people? So there's so many people behind getting a plant to, your eighth jar for you to smoke it, that it's like I don't want to say how the sausage is made, but it kind of is like how the sausage is made. So let's see, going back to your question about really like how did I get my start, it was building my foundation of working for other people and then deciding I have enough knowledge for me to start doing my own thing. And that's when I started Growers House. And I would say from that point it was just me investing a lot of time and energy into building a proper business that I wanted to be something that I could go to bed, at night and say like, oh, wow, like, I'm in an industry that's really cool and I'm working with people that I really like. I'm able to support an employee base that really likes where they work and they're getting the right benefits that they really desire. And, because this is a high margin cash crop and it's a new industry, I think there is a lot of ability for it to be more lucrative than some other traditional industries that are more mature, and everyone has squeezed every nickel they can out of those industries. Like, go work for corn and see where you're going to get an extra 10% out of a bushel. It's just not going to happen. With cannabis, it's like you can still build a brand. You can be cross-pollinating two strains and create something extremely unique. There's a lot of opportunity for people to do unique things in this industry still, and that leaves a lot of opportunity for people to be creative and honestly make like a really solid, healthy, comfortable living.
Definitely. I think I really liked your comment about you went and you learned from others. So and that's one thing that you're really find about the cannabis industry is that it's very inclusive in that the people are here because they're passionate about the plant, whether that is their own personal experience or they've seen a family member have that impact. We're in such a beautiful industry of this plant medicine. And whether you have a doctor's note or not, it's plant medicine. You're trying to get yourself to have better well-being, and it shows in the individuals that are in the industry. There's nothing like those smiling faces that I see at events. I love it. But I think we've hit on networking a couple of different times today, both with how Chance got his started, Nate getting his start and learning. And really, I think that we can't stress that enough about how important networking is, and finding the person or finding the company that's either doing something that you think that you want to do or that you want to learn more, and just go give it a shot. Chance, what was the greatest challenge as you were building your business? So what's kind of your greatest challenge, and then also your greatest success? I want to hear both sides.
Challenge. Oh man, that's so many challenges. The first one is just the structure, man. You're going at 150 miles per hour and just slowing down, and we're still battling that, getting our structure and formalizing the structure of exactly what we're going to do. So that's been one of the biggest challenges. And then of course with us is the funding to start off. As a lot of people in this space, you don't have access to banking and stuff like that. So the funding was a big aspect. That was a challenge. Yeah, but other it's still a battle. It's still a battle, but you never have enough, but you work with what you got. So and we're working with what we got and what's to come, and keeping a positive outlook. But let's see, what was the second part of the question?
Your greatest success. What's been the greatest moment for you in your business?
As far as like what part?
just what do you love the most about your business?
Just the networking, man, the people in the industry, the family, the feeling like, just the circle and the networking. That's what's great about the cannabis and the challenges it presents, as a minority in the cannabis industry. That's big for me. And I'm an advocate for minorities that's looking to get into the industry, and just those obstacles you face, man. It's fun overcoming those extra obstacles that you face as a minority in the industry. But at the same time, you have great people. You have like Mita, and you have great people that support, and just trailblazing, man. That it's just a fun industry to be in right now.
Definitely. So Nate, did you have, with yours being, because hydroponics obviously is, people think of cannabis when you think of hydroponics, but because there's so many other applications of it, did you run into funding issues with getting your business started as well?
The funding issue was we did have to self-fund. We couldn't ask a bank for a loan because they wouldn't give us a loan. The traditional avenues of getting money, they're much smaller. There are many, fewer of them. When you're doing the cannabis space, I would say if you're plant touching, it's probably even smaller. If you're ancillary, it's still small. And then there's everything else, right? Which is, your normal industry. If you're going to open a coffee shop, you can walk into a bank and say, you know what, here's my business plan. I'd like to get a loan for $100,000. And as long as you have a good business plan and, you show that you have experience doing it, they'd probably give you that loan. With our industry, it doesn't matter how much experience you have, because you're associated with the industry, they write you off immediately. So you have to find money from family, friends, investors, things of that sort. And even once you get the business running, I do feel like I've had to run a company with one arm tied behind my back, because for the first few years, we wanted credit card processing. Every 6 months, it would get cut off and we'd have to find a new one. We wanted banking services. Every 6 months, it would get cut off. We'd have to find a new bank. So while everyone's strategizing of how to gain new customers, increase their average order value, do other, what I would call normal business activities, I was running around like a chick with my head cut off, just making sure that I could still accept money. Like, that's all I wanted to do. I was like, man, just let me accept the money. Like, that's it. And then it's really fun to be, when you're running a business, strategizing, I think is probably the part that maybe gives you the most satisfaction. Making goals and then trying to achieve them. Putting out fires is not what you wake up to do in every morning. That's not, that doesn't.
It happens more mornings than most, but.
So that has probably been the toughest thing for me, running a cannabis related business. But on the opposite side, what has given me the most satisfaction, I think it's, seeing the industry mature so that people are taking us a lot more seriously, saying, wow, you know what, you got in really early. That was really smart of you. And I'm like, you know what? It does sound really smart of me, but at the same time, I just did it because it sounded, like where I wanted to be. And, but, I'll take that comment. But, at this point, one of the biggest milestones for us actually happened in 2021, where we ended up closing a round of investment from some pretty prominent investors, Cave Creek and RLJ Equity Partners. And RLJ Equity Partners is owned by Bob Johnson, who started BET, Black Entertainment Television. Okay. And they invested and did a press release. And, having people that normally invest in other industries and then said, you know what, we're going to go after and invest in the cannabis industry, and you're our first company we're going to do it with. That, to me, I was like, wow, okay.
That's so cool, man. That's
yeah.
So cool.
Now I feel like, this is really awesome. And these people, they know how to run really large businesses, and it's cool having them as partners. And it means that we're getting closer to being treated like a normal industry, not the pariah in the corner that everyone thinks is funny and cute, but they won't really touch,
Definitely, that is a huge milestone. I mean, I think we're really seeing it. I've been, I we can see the pendulum and the momentum that have shifted, and this decade is so pivotal for the cannabis industry. Actually, it's one of my colleagues over at NCIA, Mike Lamuto, has said that we're in the womb. We're still in the womb. Like, we're still about to get born, because of all of the restrictions that we have on us from the traditional business world. I mean, it's even people hear about access to banking and they think it's only an issue for the plant touching businesses, but it still is an issue for ancillary businesses.
Hey, it's 2021 right now. I got my credit card processing cut off 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I'm getting a new one right now.
As a provider that does not touch plants,
There's
there's
not
nothing
plants.
that is touching any of the leaves.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten so good at signing up for credit card companies that I almost laugh every time it happens now. It's like a joke, which is not a good place to be. I promise you, it's not actually funny. It's one of those laughing, crying at the same time.
Yeah, keep me posted on that when you find a reliable credit card.
So if anybody's listening out there, so reliable payment processing for the cannabis industry, we hope it's coming. Chance, what's the competitive landscape like out there for your services? What's because I know you're definitely a trailblazer in what you're doing. How has that been? And tell us a little bit about like if you're pitching to a new dispensary and kind of how that interaction is going.
Just our experiences what gets us where we at, and because of how special the niche is, the competition is there, but it takes experience. I was in transportation industry for 5 years prior to doing the cannabis industry, so I think that's where we are as far as just being knowledgeable about different laws and rules and stuff like that. So now with rec coming, it's a whole different ball game. So now we're really where we can expand and do more. So like I said, we're fine tuning our business plan, and hopefully we can find a good partner as Nate found, and move and be able to make more of an impact. We're looking to get into different markets, and stuff like that. So first we just have to finish fine tuning our plan, and go from what we learned in the last 6 years, of doing tours and networking and just bringing our contacts together here in Arizona and California. So
yeah, building it from there. So I know I saw it up here in Oregon. Oregon's law went into effect in 2015. It was about 2017, 2018. You started seeing some of the tour buses, and I believe there's 4 or 5 companies up here that are doing it. So that's part of, because a big part of the cannabis industry is cannabis tourism. Is people coming in, and with Phoenix being a place, certainly I know not right now with the 117 degree heat you guys are dealing with, but it's a part of the country where for a big part of the year, the population swells, and there's going to be people coming from other places, Midwest, back East, that don't have that industry available for them. And it's new and it's exciting. So yeah, it's you're definitely in a key spot at the key time for that transition.
Yeah, and so we're going to touch on all aspects of tourism too. So we're going to expand, when people will be able to offer them custom tours, individual tours. So it's just going to be a lot more that we'll be able to do.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's exciting times for you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's what about you, Nate? So what's the landscape out like there for you? I know with you being in e-commerce as well, the competition's got to be pretty fierce.
Yeah, we do operate in a crowded niche. There are a lot of people selling growing equipment, and that does make it quite competitive. So we do have to be on the ball. There's we can't we can't relax for a few months and just hope that everything's going to be all right coming out the other end. So it is about constant progression, constantly, making a better service for our customers. And I think that's also, if you're wanting to grow a business, I think that's very important as a philosophy. If you're wanting to maintain a business, I think there's a different type of philosophy you can put on. It's more of a difference between a growth business and a lifestyle business. I'm choosing to be a growth business at this point in my life. I might change, to a different phase, a different date. But while I still have the energy and I'm young, I think I'm going to keep going in that direction. But, one interesting thing that I wanted to mention as well is, one benefit of being in the ancillary space, if you're thinking about starting a business here, is there are a lot of investors right now that are slowly warming up to the idea of the cannabis industry, but they want to start putting their money in things that are non-plant touching. And that's their stepping stone. They might eventually go into plant touching, like a dispensary. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of investors that are looking for non-plant touching investment opportunities right now. So, there are a lot of benefits of being ancillary in the cannabis industry right now and having those discussions, because those are anywhere from angel investors to like your local investor down the street, all the way up to what I would call institutional investors, which are, those are the people on Wall Street. Those are the people that are hedge funds. Those are the people that are investment banks, private equity companies. And those are the people right now that are looking for investment opportunities that are non-plant touching. And you'll see that in companies like Weedmaps going on the NASDAQ. There's another company that's a competitor of mine, Grow Generation, that's on the NASDAQ. I think Urban Grow is another one that went public. So there's quite a few that are selling growing equipment. And the cool thing that not a lot of people know about the cultivation side is there's a ton of research and development going into cultivation equipment for cannabis right now. It's a high margin product, and traditional agriculture hasn't developed products for the cannabis industry that well. So what it means is people have to step up and build, what I would say are specialty nutrients. They have to build specialty lighting, LED lighting with certain spectra. They're doing research and development on what optimizes, cannabinoid production and terpene production, which they haven't done with other plants. So now there's a whole bunch of engineers and scientists who didn't think when they were in, getting their degrees, they were going to be in the cannabis industry, but now they're finding it being, probably the most interesting aspect of their job. And those people aren't your traditional cannabis smokers. They might not enjoy cannabis whatsoever, but they're getting warmed up to the industry, and they're having conversations with their family and with their friends. And they're saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm actually working on technology for the cannabis space, and it's fun and it's interesting. And, it's driving what I think is a much larger social conversation of the cannabis being a normal industry. And people are getting into it at an increasing rate. So I think we're going to see that conversation of cannabis just being a normal industry. It's going to become more prevalent just in conversations we have.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Related to kind of the competitive nature is obviously marketing. So where do you decide to spend your marketing dollars, Nate? How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, marketing is slightly limited, for the cannabis industry, but it doesn't mean it's non-existent. It's definitely existent. I think you just have to be, smart and creative about it. We actually had to create a separate company to do marketing because of the industry issues with banking and credit card processing that we have with Growers House. So we started a new entity called Growers Network. And that is basically just kind of like a content creation company for us. And I think the best way to market to people in today's day and age is like people really like video content. I'm finding that people are reading less and less articles. So doing things like writing blogs, doing magazines, while still effective, I don't always think they're the best usage of my time. So we've gotten really into videos, and that's where we double down on creating content on YouTube. I do think people, even making short GIFs or images on Instagram. You know, Instagram's been huge for this industry. I think those are the aspects where those are where the eyeballs are. And I really like focusing on creating content that people want to digest in those areas. So I think that's really where most of our time and energy and effort has gone into. And I think, you know, going into the future, it's like even Google has said that, you know, there's a lot of search engine optimization you can do with your websites that's technical, but at this point, Google's not really paying attention to it. What they're really paying attention to is when someone goes to a website, how long are they staying on that website for? Are they staying for 10 minutes? And is that like way above the average? If that's the case, then they're going to send more people to your website. So for us, it's how do you just create great content that people want to see, and then you can put your brand there and, you know, be useful.
Nice, nice. What about you, Chance?
Kind of the same thing. When they say, you know, it's limited as far as you know, mainstream with cannabis. So our main thing is just connecting with the people and being more physical, you know, being at places, pretty much hand-to-hand marketing and word of mouth as of now, until we work on, you know, more of a elusive marketing plan. But for now, it's just like he said, Instagram is real big. Videos just showing the experience of being on the 420 Ultimate Tour bus. I don't know if you've been on before, Nate, Caleb.
I haven't. No, I've seen your videos. I've gone and checked them out. I haven't had a chance though.
Okay, yeah, we'll have the bus at Meter probably later this year.
Okay, I'm gonna be back in July, so I would love to check it out, man. I've done one out here, and it was a great experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we call it dab bus out here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We set up dab bars. You know, we partner with a lot of brands out there, and that's a big part of marketing too. When you collab with other brands, you know, you're able to bring your crowd into the to experience their brand and vice versa. So just cross promotion and helping each other out is a big marketing for us right now, and just in general in the cannabis industry, since we have limited options as far as market.
Definitely. Yeah. Collaborations are huge. As a dispensary operator, I used to look at any opportunity to allow brands and providers, and certainly with all of the, anytime we would have a block party, we would look at some local businesses, try to bring some food carts, and just, you'll find that in cannabis is that the communities that accept those industry, like the businesses in there, they embrace them, and the operators embrace the people around them because we know that stigma is out there. So if we're in an area where people are accepting of it, we know that this is part of our community. Something really, really special about cannabis. Chance, wanted to talk about some of your kind of plans for expansion, and kind of what are some of those indicators that are helping to show you like that the time is now?
The last 3 years of just creating the blueprint, you know, the numbers don't lie as far as you know, what we've been able to do as far as, you know, people and networking and the tours we've done. So yeah, what we're focusing on right now is just trying to just narrow down what markets we're going to go into next, and really focus in more on the Arizona market, which is, you know, paced to be one of the biggest markets. So, you know, I'm from here. I'm originally from Arizona, so that's going to be our main market. But we're definitely focusing on a couple other markets right now.
A couple others. So how do you evaluate a new market? So like if you're looking at a new place to go in, to help give some perspective of your thought process.
For me personally, I evaluate if I like new. Like I like going into something that's new. I like the challenge of breaking the stigma, you know, being around people that still kind of, you know, they don't know about cannabis. So for me personally, but my team, they look at the numbers and if it's medical or if it's recreational and things like that. But but overall we're looking at both. So, whatever's going to be, it's going to present a challenge, but at the same time be more realistic with numbers and demographics.
Got it. So planning, research, evaluation, making sure that you understand and you've thought through all of the variables as much as you can. I mean, nobody ever knows every variable of going into it. Sometimes you just got to roll the dice, but numbers don't lie, man.
And that's the thing about the industry. You can be a number person all you want, but at the end of the day, things can change. It has to, experience is number one, for us, and that's our goal, is to, if we go into a different market, we just gonna get out there and get the experience, and feel the people, and network with the people and see what they want. If they have fun, what can we change about the experience, things like that.
Yep, definitely. So Nate, what are two things that you know now that you wish you did when you were starting your business? Oh, looks like we just lost Nate. Looks like he'll come back. So here, I'll ask that question of you, Chance. What are two things that you know now that you wish you knew 7 years ago?
Man, that's a good question. I wish I about that one, Caleb. That's a real good question. Let's see. Two things that, oh man, kind of out of brain. Two things that I wish I knew about cannabis, or
just about business, or things that you've maybe learned about yourself.
Yeah, the importance of relationships. Like, when you're new to business, you're more focused on business, numbers, but it's the relationships you build, and the way you treat people, that comes back tenfold. Some people that come in, if you're just more like a corporate, I'm just going treat you as if I need you or something like that, then I don't, a lot of people don't survive that way. But just being networking, just being a genuine person, not like something I didn't know but I know now, but it's just something that you learn, that's real important.
Yeah, people in this industry they can read BS very quickly, and
yeah, exactly.
When people are not being authentic, you can tell. Yep. I mean, and that's what I love about this industry, and the passion of you can spot them really quickly, the people who you want to work with.
And that's what, the cannabis and people that's just, has experience with it, that's, we're naturally authentic people, so as those people that's coming in that's not authentic, it's easy to, and people help you spot them too. You have people in the industry, if you don't spot them, someone else gonna spot them for you. So
yep. I love it. So Nate, welcome back, man. What are two things that you know now that you wish you knew when you were just getting out of college and figuring out what you wanted to do?
Wow, dude, that's a solid question. Two things that I wish I knew. I would say, man, a lot of the things I've learned, I realized that they're really hard to learn through non-experiential ways. Let me see. A lot of my stuff, I'm trying to think about things that are relative to the cannabis industry in particular, but I will tell you something like management skills, I think are vastly overrated, or underrated, I mean.
I was going to say,
I really meant underrated. I apologize for that. But I meant underrated because management skills is really just developing high levels of patience and emotional intelligence. And whether you're managing employees or interacting with your family or your significant other, I think those things that has been pretty life-changing for me. And I've had to been dragged through the gauntlet to learn all of it. I've read a management book or two and it gave me some ideas, but I had to hit rock bottom being a manager before I could stand up again and become better. But What do I wish I learned? I think probably has to do with patience and balance in life. You know, those are probably the things that I probably wish I knew at an earlier time, because I definitely burned the candle at both ends, and it was tough and it was very taxing. So I think those are two things. And then obviously the other things that go with the cannabis industry, I would say, is have redundancy for everything. So I first started out and I had one credit card processor and one bank. Now I have like three credit card processors, four banks, like, anything you want, get it in spades. Here's the, here's the last thing I think would be helpful is if you're jumping into the cannabis industry and the name of your business is 420 Weed Smoke Cannabis for Life, LLC, it's probably a bad idea. You probably want a management company that has a very discreet name, such as, my name is Nate Lipton. I could call it Lipton Management Co. LLC. And then you have a doing business as name. And that's going to help you out, because when you walk into a bank or when you sign with a credit card processor and you just have a management company or an operating company, sometimes they don't know you're in the cannabis industry, and it's good to have that Chinese wall, is what I like to call it, of separation. So that's something I wish I knew going into it, because it's really hard to kind of change a business name. It's kind of an administrative pain in the butt. So doing that, I think, will save you a lot of heartache.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time here. So I think really the biggest thing that I wanted to get across and getting a perspective and hearing Nate's story and hearing Chance's story, there's going to be 26 social equity licenses that are going to get awarded. There's going to be a lot more than 26 groups that are going towards these licenses. So don't let that be your end all be all. If you want to get into the industry, there's going to be additional opportunity, and you can make your additional opportunity. Be open to relocation. That's another thing, as new markets are coming online, that there could be another opportunity in another place. And as adult use is really fully rolled out, I mean, we're only 6 months into adult use in Arizona. There's going to be an entire ecosystem that's going to continue to develop and grow as the market grows. So we're in a very exciting time. So I wanted to give you both an opportunity as a sign off, and if there's any advice that you have for the social equity applicant. So we'll start with you, Chance.
Social equity, something important to me in the Arizona industry. So my advice would be if you're going to get into the social equity part, just be authentic and making sure and be vocal about the part, and make sure it's done correctly. Because
What did you do there, buddy?
Can you hear me, Caleb?
There we go. You just came back.
Okay. Yeah, so advice on social equity is just, everyone, we should just be looking to do the right thing for our communities here. And I think Arizona, we're on track to have one of the best social equity programs. So, we're definitely going to be advocates for the social equity programs. We got a couple of things in place. We're working with META and everyone, like in Arizona, everyone works together in some way, shape, or form. You're working together in Arizona. So yeah, just stay at it and stay positive, and make sure you have a backup plan. Plan B is always important. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and just always keep your eyes and ears open, and don't be afraid to talk to people about social equity. It's kind of like one of those sensitive subjects, but once you start talking about it and you realize, like, hey, this person is really, for the right thing. So, just align yourself with the right people, and just, have good intentions in your heart.
Definitely. Nate?
Yeah, on the social equity side, I agree. The fact that there's going to be 25, licenses granted, You know, it seems like those are going to go to minorities. I know, you know, my background is Mexican. I think, you know, you're talking to two people that are minorities in the state of Arizona who are running cannabis businesses. Neither of them are dispensaries. I would say, you know, if you don't get a license, I totally agree and want to echo what Chance said. Have a plan B. And when you go about plan B, think about what skills do I have and what does the cannabis industry need? Make sure both of those things dovetail, because if you do something you don't know how to do, or if you try and force feed the cannabis industry something they don't need, you're probably going to have a bad time, you know. And you know, there's a book, and not only is it a book, but it's a methodology. It's called the Lean Startup Method, or Lean Startup Methodology. When you're starting a new business, uh, be lean, be scrappy, bootstrap, be aggressive, test the market to make sure that they want to accept your product before you start throwing big dollars and you haven't really identified your customer yet. So that's kind of the advice that I would have in jumping into it, but realize that there's so much more opportunity in the industry than, you know, outside of just retailing someone cannabis or growing cannabis. So don't think that just because you don't get a license that's the end of it. That's far from the truth. And I think every year you're going to see new ancillary businesses come up as people such as yourself try to think of new and creative ideas.
Definitely. Yep. It's a very fun time to be in the cannabis industry. So come join us. So I want to thank you, Chance, and thank you, Nate, for your time today. We want to send another thank you out to 420 Collections. Again, those are two product lines, 420 Medibles at dispensaries throughout Arizona, and check out 420, their skincare line that is CBD infused topicals that are available on their website. So thank you everyone for your time today, and good luck out there to all of the aspiring entrepreneurs looking to enter into cannabis. So thanks.
Thank you, Caleb. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Take care. Appreciate it, everyone.
All right, Nate.